Here we are, second weekend of the Black Ops 6 beta, and I wanted to make a video comparing weekend 1 to weekend 2. Now, this isn't going to be my final review of the Black Ops 6 beta. That'll probably be a day or two after it actually ends. What this is looking at the things that have changed from weekend 1 to weekend 2 and discussing whether or not the game got better or worse. Has the game gotten better in a week from the feedback that they have given from the community, or has it become worse? Thing number one, I want to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments. Make your opinions heard and be honest. And if you're complaining about something, also say how it could be fixed as well. Constructive feedback, I find, is always very, very good. Now, let me dive in and kind of show you what I'm talking about when it comes to these things. So the first thing that was changed was the spawns. And if I'm being honest with this, the spawns have gotten much, much better into weekend 2. I don't know what they adjusted or how they adjusted it, but almost all of the spawns in the game are better except for one thing, and that is the new map called Babylon. Now, this map is very tiny, I would say slightly larger than Shipment, and the spawns are pretty bad. Now, I will say once you get used to them and learn how they work, they are predictable and you can read them and use them to your advantage, but as a whole, there are some very, very large problems with the spawns on this map. Now, what I will say is in weekend 1, the maps that were in there did get vastly improved, so that does give me some hope for Babylon moving forward, but the spawns on Babylon themselves are never going to be perfect because of how small that map is. I do believe that they will get better. I don't believe that they'll be perfect, but the other maps as a whole, the improvements that we've seen spawn-wise on those, at least from my opinion, have been very, very good. Even on Team Deathmatch, a mode that I really don't enjoy playing, I find that the spawns are a little bit more predictable and better in that mode as well. And one problem that a lot of people were having this weekend and last weekend has to do with internet connection and desync. Now, I had a whole other video about that was released earlier today, and as far as this goes, I've experienced both sides of things. First of all, in the first weekend, I thought my connection was relatively good and even better than Modern Warfare 3, to be honest. I still had packet burst and a little bit of desync, but it felt pretty good. Then Friday, when weekend 2 happened, my internet connection to this game was destroyed. I had constant packet bursts and I could barely play the game. I even rage quit my live stream because it was so horrible. Later that day, I then plugged in a hard wire into my computer and tried playing on that, and my connection was way, way better. I still had stutters, I still had packet bursts, but it was way better. And honestly, it felt better than the first weekend, but I don't think that had anything to do with the game. I think that was that I was playing on a hard wire. Now, in game, I'm still getting stuttering. I'm still getting packet bursts. And for a AAA game, that is a problem. Now, keep in mind that this is a beta and can be improved, but a lot of people and a lot of gameplay that I've seen, especially seemingly on consoles, have seen a lot of stuttering, black screens, problems on that front. Those are the things that have to be ironed out for this type of game. And I'm hoping the beta will give them the information they need to improve that. So as a whole, I think the connection is better from weekend 1 to 2, but as you're going to see later on in this video, I have heard some other things because you guys are actually going to chime in on this video later as well. You'll see what I mean coming up. Next one is a big one, and that is weapon balance. So as far as weapon balance goes, weekend 1, everyone was using the Jackal. The Jackal then got a range nerf and a recoil nerf, and I actually think it was nerfed enough. Now, I have seen people saying it's still a good weapon, it's still the best weapon in the game. It is still a good weapon. I don't think it's the best weapon in a game. I think up close, the C9 is now better than it, and at mid-range, most assault rifles are better than it, and even the Tonto, the new SMG, I think at mid-range is better than it. It is good at mobility, and it does have low recoil, but I think there are other weapons that are better than this gun. The AK-74 is a great example of that. So definitely more variability in the weapons that are able to be used, and I will say, most weapons in this game, I feel pretty confident that I can go into a game and do extremely well with them. One excels at maybe recoil, one excels at range, one excels at damage, and one excels at fire rate, and each of them feel very different. And then the DM10, the new marksman rifle that was put into the game, is a single fire or semi-automatic weapon that packs a punch and kind of reminds me of the Auger DMR from Black Ops 4, which I really, really enjoy. All the weapons seem viable and all of the weapons seem good in their own right. Can they work on the balance a little bit? Absolutely. They're going to have to throughout the year. But for now, big improvement over week 1 for the beta, at least weapon balance. Movement. Now, I have seen both sides of this coin. Some people hate the movement in Black Ops 6 and say that it's specifically clunky, and other people love it. I am on that side of things. I think this is great movement in a Call of Duty game, and I really enjoy it. And if you're having problems with it and you find it clunky, I'm going to have a video linked down in the description. That is my settings for movement that is going to help you do the movement in Black Ops 6 much easier. Now, as far as Weekend 1 to Weekend 2, the mantle speeds and the weapon swap speeds were changed. They were sped up. And honestly, I think this is a good improvement, but I still don't think the movement is perfect. I think this is something that is going to be adjusted and tweaked, especially into the final game and even after the game has launched. This is a brand new movement and it needs some time in the wild to gestate before we actually have a final opinion on it. For me, I am really liking it, but I also agree that it still could be better, and I think they will make it better. They also improved footstep audio. This one's pretty straightforward. I can hear footsteps now. I couldn't hear them Weekend 1. Are they too loud or too quiet? I'm not quite sure yet. I need to play the game a little bit more, but Ninja's also a perk now, so that's going to play into effect as well. I haven't decided whether I need to use it or not. I do on a couple of my classes, and a couple others I don't, so still trying to decide about that one, but as a whole, footsteps and audio is 100% better because I couldn't hear footsteps Weekend 1 and I can hear it Weekend 2. So as a whole, I must say I am enjoying Weekend 2 better than Weekend 1. As a whole, the best way I can explain this is the game simply feels more complete. And I think that is because there are more weapons, more perks, more options of how to play, things like Sleeper Agent being added. I think they're fun. I haven't decided whether it's overpowered or not yet, but there's just more in the game. It feels more complete, more finished. Are there more bugs like the spawns on Babylon? Absolutely. But this is my opinion. I also know that this is a community and I wanted to have your opinions heard on this video as well. So on Twitter, I asked you what your opinions were, the difference between Weekend 1 and Weekend 2. So let's check those out. So, for example, Elm says, worse if I'm being completely honest. I asked why, because I kind of wanted more information than that. He said, it's kind of difficult to explain. It's like every 2 to 5 minutes, I'm getting major lag spikes, and also my aim is completely different. Like I had to turn my sensitivity down 2, so I'm on 4.4 instead of 6.6. I don't know. That's a really weird one to me. That's a personal thing. The next person, Benjo, I actually had a conversation in DMs with this person about lag, and that's kind of how I made the video earlier today. He was having problems with optimization, specifically packet burst. He said he's on Wi-Fi like I was, and it slowly has resolved over the weekend. So clearly they're working on something, or with packet burst, some days can just be better than others. I think that is one thing they majorly have to fix throughout the rest of the year. It's a big problem, and I agree with that. Then we have Big Mike here, and he actually makes some of my thumbnails. Really great guy. He says it feels a lot better in terms of internet connection. So this is what I was talking about before. Some people had good internet connection Weekend 1, like me, and then Weekend 2 was crap. And then some people had the opposite of that. Mike seems to be a person that had a better connection during Weekend 2, and I hope they are trying to work on that one for everyone. They also said spawning and even PC performance have been better. I'm upset about the slide/pro nerf, but other than that, he's really enjoying it. So, in other words, better Weekend 2. Next one we have here is gameplay is fun. I enjoy the different aspects of how to navigate the maps. I also enjoy that thing. SBMM is up to 11. I play one good game and then I play against John Wick for the next 3 games. I've experienced the same thing as well. Generally, I get like 2 pretty good games in, and then they're rough, a lot harder, and then 2 good games in, and then rough for another 2 games. That back and forth, that ping pong is really a thing, the way that the skill-based matchmaking works. I completely agree with that one. Alex here talking about more frame drops and black screens. This is the thing that I was saying really needs to be fixed for launch. This one I tend to agree with. Personally, I haven't felt much of a difference besides the Despise of Babylon. Personally, I like Babylon, but I understand how people wouldn't like it. I'm level 30 and have a lot of time invested, and I thought that the multiplayer was the best that I've played since Black Ops 4. I think it's the most similar to Black Ops 4, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it as well. Tommy, on the other hand, says, Weekend 1, I was loving the game. This week, everything feels off, and again, that could be the internet connection problem. Side note, if you like this kind of thing where I kind of bring some community feedback into the videos, be sure to follow me on Twitter, which will be linked down below, and of course, if you like this kind of thing, we will do it in more videos moving forward. Sir John Payday says, I would say it feels way more balanced. I agree with that. With the Jackal nerf, that's kind of what we've seen. Quinn says here, this is something that I didn't mention, it feels a lot easier to make progress with guns. So I somewhat agree with this, except I think that the earn rate that we have this weekend should just be the base earn rate. Maybe I'm wrong in that one. Technically, I believe that this is double weapon XP that we have this weekend. So at launch, it'll be more like weekend 1, but I could be wrong about that. Tom, aka Elon Musk here, says the spawns got better on most of the maps that aren't Babylon. Yes, I agree with that. Weapon balancing feels better with the Jackal nerf. Completely agree with that as well. MJ says, feels a lot better with less Jackal players, a lot less packet burst. I had the opposite of that, and that's exactly what we talked about before. I effing love Omni movement. Chopper Gunner is so awesome too. I agree with that. I really like the Chopper Gunner. Gives me that like old school Chopper Gunner vibes. Your local Yemeni man says Weekend 2 was the most fun in my opinion. Sleeper Agent is the best thing that they added. I think people are liking those things because they're new. We've never had them before, and I think new things is really, really good in Call of Duty. So again, some people are saying the server connection has been better. Some have been saying it's worse. Ben P says, honestly, the server connection has been way worse this weekend. I think there are far more cheaters for sure, since you can just recreate new accounts for free right now. Of course there is going to be. Aside from that, the rest of the gameplay has been fun and quite enjoyable with the updates. So I just wanted to get some of your opinions in there as well. From what I am seeing, some people say that their connection is vastly better and some people say that it is vastly worse. They clearly changed something. I don't know what that something is. As a whole, we need both of those camps to have better connections, not one to have worse and one to have better, and then have that swap every weekend once the game is fully launched. Also, I would say, I think most people agree that the more maps, the more items, the more weapons that are added in, the more complete and the more fun the game actually feels like. The more diversity the game has, the more complete it feels, the better it feels, which is a good sign for the final launch of the game. As of right now, I am positive about the changes that are being made. We're going to finish out this weekend, and then later this week, I will have a video with my final review of this. I'm going to be completely honest with the things I love, the things I hate, and anything else in between. But as I said, leave your opinion between the weekend differences down in the comments, and let me know what you're thinking about the game. I'll be curious to hear what you guys have to say. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars.